Hello, everybody. This is different, right? But welcome back to the courthouse where God is the judge and the jury, and we have the conversations that the enemy don't want us to talk about. This is the last episode. Can y'all believe that? The season is over. But don't worry, season two is already in the workings, okay? But if you don't know by now, I am your girl, Courtney Nicole. And today's setup is a little different. This is the first and only episode this season where I don't have a guest. It's just me. Well, I kind of do have a guest, but he's like in the background kind of guest. He has been, he's my brother and also my videographer for the courthouse. Everybody give it up for Debbie. Woo, woo, woo.
I know y'all can't see me. What's up?
So, Devin is here today to help me to have this conversation. We do know that this season is entitled Healing on Purpose with Purpose. And we've talked about, healing from grief, healing from family, relationship trauma, divorce. Like, we talked about all the things. But this episode, I'm going to get a little more intimate. And I'm going to talk about healing from me. Okay? Healing for yourself. It's easy to talk about what other people have done to you or other things that have happened to you, but it's another thing to look in the mirror and have to deal with the things that you've caused, the hurt that you've done to yourself. So Devin's going to help me dive into that conversation. I told him that he has free reign to ask me whatever he wants to ask. So, Devin has a way of pulling things out of you. So I'm excited, but a little nervous on where the conversation gonna go. But
You gonna be all right.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
All right. So, funny enough, you just got off the phone with your oldest son's school,
Yes.
and I really didn't know what I was gonna ask you first. I know you pretty well.
Yeah.
I know you pretty well, but I did not know where to start. But you doing that let me know where to start. So I met you as Courtney Howard when we were
Yes.
little.
Yes.
And when you just got on the phone with the school, you said, "Hey, this Courtney Brown.
Yeah.
Why you keep the name?"
Okay. So truth is, I really don't want to keep the name. That's truth. So in my divorce papers, I actually got, I requested to have my name back. One of two reasons. One, because I'm the youngest of my dad's kids. And so, like, when I got married, like, his name went away. So,
Because you don't have any brothers.
because I don't have any brothers, right? So, that's number one. But two, just because I want I want to say my identity back, but that's not who I am anymore. But being in education, with your certificate and with all that good stuff, it's like so much paperwork that goes into changing your name back. And just to be honest, I really haven't even had the energy to go through all the paperwork. But I prefer to go by Courtney Howard.
Okay. So, go ahead. You guys have something?
I mean, so it's really more so for like business purposes.
Okay. So, with that being said, is it worth it to get your identity back?
You diving off deep end already.
Because you just talked about like you want to go by who you were because that's who you feel the closest to instead of who you were. But the obstacle of going to do the paperwork sounds like a heaping task. And I know how busy you are. I know what you're dealing with. But
Yeah,
is that worth it?
it is. It's worth it. And I honestly feel like there's going to be as crazy as this may sound, I really think it's going to be breakthrough in it.
Your breakthrough is waiting on you to move then.
Yeah. And it's crazy that you asked me this question because you don't know how many times I thought about this. Like, Courtney, why don't you just go ahead and go take a weekend, take a day, and just do it. Just like, what is it? I also, consider my boys too, because their name's Brown, but last name Brown, of course. But I will tell you for one thing for sure, it don't got anything to do with me contemplating anything else for the past. But that's a good question. I don't know. I think it's just, is it worth it? Yes. Why I haven't done it? I really can't give you a legit reason. Do I want it? Do I want my last name to be like official Courtney Howard again? Yes. For sure.
So when you meet someone, do you introduce yourself as Courtney Brown or Courtney Howard?
Courtney Howard.
Okay, so you're not that person. Right now, legally, you're not that person. So
yeah.
You're meeting someone under a different identity. I hate to get that deep, but psychologically, you're introducing yourself who you're not.
Technically, these are facts.
And it's easy to be who you say you are if you just get the name changed.
Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you what I do too. I say, my name is Courtney Howard, but, on my legal documents, I have to give a whole,
a whole spiel.
A whole spiel of, my name's Courtney Howard, but I haven't gotten it changed yet, but it's in my divorce papers. Yeah.
When we started talking about this podcast at the beginning of the year, what did we say?
We standing on everything. Everything we said we're going to do this year, we doing it. We standing on everything we're going to do.
Okay. So how much time you need to go get this done before I start asking questions and be like, well, what do I need to do to help you?
I think I just need to, just do it. Really, the only time I would have time to do it is during the week because, the courthouse and stuff be closed on the weekend. So I just need to take a day off work because, of course, I have to go to the Social Security office.
Ain't fall break coming?
It is coming in October. I get 2 little measly days off.
Them 2 days could be worth a life-changing experience.
I could agree.
Because the name carries so much weight and so much of a burden.
No, that's true. For real. That's true.
That I don't see you moving forward until you get up from under that burden.
And it's crazy that you're talking about this because right now I'm actually a co-facilitator for our women's Bible study that has the whole
it's about
identity. That's the whole thing. And Travis Green just came out with a song called Put Your Name on It. I put your name on it. I think that's what it is. But anyways, in the song it talks about he's saying that I put God's name on it and then he put his name on me. And so we're coming out of Ephesians and basically with identity, once you step into or once you come aware of who you are, right? Because you can live and not know who you are. You can be present and not know who you are. But once you become aware of who you are, it's like an awakening. It's like once I realized that what I was going through and what I had experienced was not me, but just a part of my journey, it was like my perspective changed, my viewpoint changed, like everything changed. So that's why I said I really think there's going to be like another level of breakthrough. Like once I actually officially do it. So yeah.
So
Fall break. We're gonna make that happen.
okay, y'all heard it here.
Y'all hear it here first, okay? Fall break.
You heard it here. Okay, so that's a good place to start. I thought that was very fitting.
Very. You drove off the deep end.
So let's move on. Let's talk about let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about leadership because it all has to do with your healing journey. Because of the hurt and the pain and the suffering that you've experienced, how do you feel the need to lead carrying that knowledge?
I've always been a person that feels like when people say I got it out the mud, so you got to get it out the mud too. I think that is the most stupidest, ridiculous statement ever. Reason being is because what was the purpose of you getting out the mud? Just to say I got it out the mud? To brag about getting out the mud? Like, I feel like there's no place. I don't feel like there's anything to brag about. So if you did have to get out the mud, the humility of you should not want to see other people have to get it out the mud. So I also think about that in my journey. I've said this time and time again. One day when I was just having a long time with God, I heard the Holy Spirit say, I've allowed you to break so you can heal the broken. I truly believe that a part of my purpose here on earth is to help those people who have been broken. I feel like that's a part of my ministry. And what's even crazier about that is, like I said, kind of coming to an awakening of like who I am and what God really wants to use me for. I've always been that person. I just didn't know. Because when I thought about like who I have been involved with relationally, they've all had the same characteristic of being broken in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. And it was like, and I can pick up on like when somebody is dealing with like depression, anxiety, like the things that I dealt with, it's like I can smell it on people. And it's like I'm drawn to them, if that makes sense. But my biggest struggle has been because I want everybody to be happy. I don't want to see anybody sad. I'm willing to sacrifice. A lot of times I've sacrificed myself for other people's happiness and neglected my own.
Okay, so the crazy thing is I just came up with the subtitle for this episode.
Okay.
And it's something that I believe that everyone has dealt with. So I think the subtitle, and we'll have a little bit of a conversation about it now, is healing from my response to God's no.
That's it. Matter of fact, hey Jada. Matter of fact, that's not even a that's like the topic. Say it again for the people.
Healing from my response to God's no. Because I remember the conversation we had about God telling you not to marry him. And you did it anyway.
Yeah.
So now you're having to heal from a response that God gave you the answer from.
And the gag is, that's not the only thing he's telling me no about. I think that was the biggest, like, book bag that I've done. Like, I'm going to find out for myself kind of thing. But that was definitely the biggest one. But, yes, that would be the perfect title because that's my life. Truth is, God has always shown me. always. I'm a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like,
that's an understatement of the year.
Yes, I'm a dreamer. Now, God, He speaks to us in various ways, but like God has shown me a lot through my dreams. And even before my dad died, David, I had 3 dreams that my dad was gonna die. And the night before he died, my dad showed up in my dreams, and he loved like old school cars. So he was in this old school drop top convertible, and he had like luggage in the front seat. And so he dropped me off where I was staying that at that time, and he was like, "I'll see you later, baby girl." He's got me, baby girl. All right, Daddy. That next morning he died. And that's not the only thing, like, but that's just an example of how God talked to me in my dreams. And a lot of times, like, every time I pray about something, God shows me. And all of my hurt. Like, when you said that, that was like that's a perfect title. Because if I can sit here and say, like, 90% of the trauma and things that I've dealt with in my life is for me, it's due to my response to God's no.
So,
and not wanting to accept it.
Right. So my favorite parable in the Bible is Paul's thorn in the flesh. Literally, yes. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And it talks about someone who is so close to God dealing with something internally, because we don't know what the thorn was. It's a lot of theories about it.
Yeah.
But him literally begging God
to take
consistently, and God telling him no. And human beings, like, the body is designed to live.
Yeah.
So the body is designed to accept the yes. We have to rewire ourselves to be okay with the answer no.
Yeah. And then that even speaks to me being a people pleaser.
Talk about it.
Because not only it kind of goes back to what I was saying about I have sacrificed myself for other people's happiness, even if it costs me my own. And that comes out of being a people pleaser because of my relationship with no.
Ooh. My relationship with no.
Yeah.
Talk about the relationship with. People don't know that's the most toxic relationship. Being told, like, okay, so I'm the baby, and so me and my wife went to counseling, and the marriage counselor was talking about, oh, that's why you respond like that, because you're the baby. You don't have a relationship with no.
I'm the baby.
You don't have a relationship with the word no. And it's a relationship that's there whether you want it or not. It's how you respond to the relationship.
And you know what? As you're saying that, I think about like how I naturally respond, like how I would naturally respond. So usually when I was little, okay, I've been working since I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
I remember on my 15th birthday, they asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I said, I want to go get my learner's license. Like, that's what I wanted for my birthday. But the reason why I was so bent on, like, getting my learner's license so I could go work was because I got tired of hearing no. So I was like, okay.
That's the solution.
If y'all not going to do it, I'm going to do it for myself.
That's the solution. And
so when you were talking about that, it's crazy because it's the same thing I've done relationally, career-wise, like everything. Is my relationship with no is I don't care what you say, I'm gonna do it myself. Because if you don't want to give me the yes, then I'm gonna make my own yes. I'm gonna go get my own yes. That's my relationship with no. My relationship with no is I don't want to accept no.
Even if no is good for you.
Even if no, just because it's no. Just because it's no even if it's good for me, I've always been the type of person to like.
You need a yes.
Yeah, and I want to. And if it is no, and no can be like, but this is what's best. I need to know. I need to know that for myself, because I don't want to believe that your no is okay. One of my prayers in this season, it's so crazy. This conversation is so fitting. One of my prayers in this season has been, and I said this on the episode with Jada. God, help me to trust you the first time. Basically, I'm saying, help me to trust your no. That's been my biggest prayer in this season. Because, especially when no feels good.
Oh, when yes feels good.
Or when yes feels good. Just the feel good part. Like the part, and if we're quite honest, the reason why I didn't want to accept no, because the reason why my relationship with no is the way that it is because it's easier to give into what I want than to deal with that I can't have it.
Oof. And people stay wanting the easy way out.
Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to just go with what you want than to deal with the fact that I can't have it. It's hard to sit in that and be okay.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like that's, if I just calling a thing, that's why I don't want to accept no.
That's the conversation. Like if people can take the toxicity out of no and let the no be what it is and what it's for, life would go a lot smoother.
And you know, like this conversation is healing within itself. Guess what book I'm finishing right now?
What?
Necessary Endings.
Well,
necessary, which is another way of saying how to accept necessary no's. Necessary, like to go, accepting necessary bad, like, and not only necessary no's relationally,
yeah,
but like necessary no's to negative behavior, negative responses, necessary endings to coping mechanisms. Like in all areas, like it's, but the book says that the beauty of a necessary ending is the possibility that it creates to have a beautiful beginning.
Yeah.
One of the scriptures that I talked about is in the podcast is, you know, weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. The morning end, in order for the morning to come, something has to end.
Yeah.
Before morning to come, the sun has to go down for it to come back up.
Yeah.
So even with Pastor Paul this past Sunday, he is breaking down the 23rd Psalm. And his focus this Sunday was the part where it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The part about he leads me, well, I'm having a brain fart, to the valley of the shadow of death. The profound thing that I got from that is following the shepherd means you're going to have to go through the valley.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing, that because a lot of people, like he said, you feel disconnected because you're in the valley, not understanding that the valley is a part of your journey. It's a necessity. It's you know, you have to go through it.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was going through my valley, I felt disconnected from God. I felt like he wasn't hearing me. Not that he wasn't hearing me, I just didn't want to accept his no.
He gave you the answer.
Gave me the answer, and I didn't want to accept it. And it wasn't that he didn't hear me, but it's just I literally picture God looking at me like this, because I was praying, fasting, or seeking a spiritual count. I mean, everything I knew to do, I did to try to make my marriage work. And I really feel like God was just looking at me like,
all right,
I'm giving you the answer when you're ready, because God is a gentle God, right? He ain't gonna force us to do nothing. He just gonna wait on you. But the more I fought against no, the no my yes hurt me. The more my yes hurt me, yeah. The more I fought against no, the more my yes hurt me. Oof. The longer I gave into yes, the more I gave into yes,
you got to put it on your yes.
My yes.
Your yes.
The more I was giving into my yes, the more damaged I became. Not because that was God's plan or desire for me, but because I didn't want to accept no.
That's tough.
I think about, but what makes God so good is that even when I choose my yes, you still work it out for my good.
And he still gave you the grace.
That's the beautiful. Not saying that you look. Do not purposely to be like me. Please and choose your yes. Don't do that. Okay. Don't let me be your example of why you should not. Okay. Don't be a person like me to like go find out for myself. Don't do that. But that's what makes God. That what makes God like. How can we talked about this in the episode with the soon to be Dr. Nichols? How can you not serve a God that will make your yes to turn your yes to your advantage? Now, it don't mean you ain't gonna come with no war rooms now, cause I got some,
yeah,
I got some war room for real. Like I got the stripes to show. This ain't what you want, but it's also evidence. One of the songs that's been in my spirit heavy is Evidence by Naomi Rain. And the words say, I have evidence. I'm the living proof that God makes promises and his words won't fail. Because this is the gag. As much as you choose but let me say this too though. I think what I've realized is that what God has allowed me to come out of, some people died in. And so I know I was, playing, but all jokes aside, some people have died because they didn't want to let go of their yes.
Unfulfilled purposes, dealing with your own yes. You were willing to sacrifice yourself because you got to know. So you had to die in your personal yes. That's crazy.
But people do that every day.
That's crazy.
People stay in toxic situations.
You know what's even crazier?
Years.
You know what's even crazier? The death in your yes was mercy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
The death in your yes was mercy. even still, when he told you no and you said yes, and you had to go in it and through it.
But you know what? I picked up what Pastor Paul put down this Sunday. I think it went over some people's head, but I was in there when because it says, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul." After you go through the valley, let me break. Because I really want people to get this. I want to read this in New Living Translation version. Because the beautiful part of that is not only do you have to go through your valley, but what happens when you come out of it.
Yeah.
New Living Translation says, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me." This is what happens when you come out of the valley. This is what happens when you let go of your yes and accept God's no. He will prepare a feast for you in the presence of your enemy. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. I think about how God has moved in my life and elevated me in ways that I didn't even know. I think about how God has moved in my life and exposed parts of me that I didn't even know existed because I finally accepted his no. Which is also mind-blowing and profound to me that if I would have still been holding on to my yes, the courthouse wouldn't even be possible.
That's it. That's it.
So the moment you decide to accept God's no, understand because you made the decision, you're going to have to do some soul work. You're going to have to heal on purpose. With purpose. Because just like I said, there's one thing to realize that you're sick. But if you sit home and you never go to the doctor and you just, I hope God work it out, and you never do anything about it, you're not healing on purpose. You just sitting at home hoping for the best. But when you heal on purpose with purpose, God, when you come out of the valley, you will step into your overflow. Yesterday, I prophesied of myself, and I made a declaration that I'm in the end of an era. I'm no longer living beneath what God has called me to live. God did not call me to struggle. God did not call me to be depressed. He didn't call me to have anxiety. He didn't call me to be suicidal. God did not call me to be in toxic environments and relationships. God did not call me to be a people pleaser. God called me to live for his purpose and his will for my life. I no longer want to waste another day not living in the abundance that God has called me to live in. Because it's never, like I said in my video, it's never about whether God can or whether God will, but it's about what you believe. I believe that my yes was better than God's no. So because of that, I experienced trauma that I could have avoided because I believed that my thoughts and understanding was better than God's. And he's the creator of all things. But how many times do we do that? How many times do we believe that our yes is better than God's no?
Well, get the people a verdict. I got one too. I think I got one.
All right. So the verdict for this. I mean, would you say this is the verdict for season 1?
It's the verdict for season 1.
The verdict for season 1.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out how to put language on it.
Okay. So I'll do the verdict for today. You'll do the verdict for the season.
Okay.
All right. So the verdict for today is accepting God's no is just as powerful as giving God a yes.
That's good. Say it one more time for the people.
Accepting God's no is just as powerful as giving God a yes.
And that's something you got to do every day.
Every day.
It's not a one time. It's not a one time thing. But I got it when you were saying it.
All right, what you got?
The verdict for season 1. Divorce your yes. Divorce your yes. That's it. I love y'all. Stay tuned because season 2 is coming, and I just want you to know we coming. If you thought this season was good, the things God been giving me for season 2, I need the people to be ready. I need y'all to be ready. Okay. Thank y'all for riding with me this season. Like the courthouse, where God is the judge and the jury. And we have the conversation that the enemy don't want us to talk about. I love y'all. Until season 2.